The news moves fast and numbers are our language at Statista. This month, we're going to do things a little bit differently, and our researcher for the Middle East, Yasmine Ouf, is going to take us through our first look at the numbers behind the headlines.
Thanks, Gina. April 21st marked the end of Ramadan, the Arabic name for the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. Always falling on a different date, this year Ramadan lasted from March 23rd to April 21st or April 22nd, depending where you are in the world. Ramadan is characterized by a period of fasting between sunrise and sunset. During this time, people refrain from eating, drinking, chewing gum, and smoking.
Muslims observe Ramadan around the world, and because the fasting time is determined by the sun, some need to fast a little longer than others. In extreme cases, there is a special fatwa, a Muslim legal ruling allowing Muslims to fast according to Mecca hours or the closest Muslim country. Fasting is just one of the ways in which Muslims connect with their religion during the holy month. In the Middle East, many increase prayer and even participate in religious competitions. In Asia, many spend more time online during the fasting periods. For instance, in Indonesia, many turn to TikTok in the afternoons before eating. And yes, food content was the most popular.
After a month of fasting, Muslims celebrate with a 3-day fest called Eid al-Fitr.
In some countries, Eid is a public holiday during which people visit their mosques and enjoy large meals with family. Consumers spend lots on food, beverages, and other items to celebrate the occasion.
The end of Ramadan also involves giving donations to the poor. This year, 88% of Indonesians plan to give religious donations.
On April 15th, violence erupted in Khartoum, Sudan's capital. A power struggle between the two rival factions of the military government, the Rapid Support Forces, and the Sudanese Armed Forces sparked a conflict that is still raging. After 1 week, 413 people died and more than 3,500 were wounded. The lack of electricity, food, and medicine is already taking a toll on civilians, and thousands have fled the country to seek refuge in Chad. The Sudanese conflict is one of the latest of several around the world. The Russia-Ukraine war, ongoing for over a year, was the primary focus during 2022. While official numbers are not known, it is the armed conflict with the highest number of fatalities in 2023. This conflict had and is still having a severe impact on the global economy, especially affecting the energy and food market. It also led to massive migration flows toward European countries where over 8 million Ukrainian refugees are based. Conflict drags on in Myanmar, where civil wars and brutal tactics have characterized the country's socio-political landscape since independence from British rule in 1948. In April 2023, a series of military airstrikes on civilians has again put the spotlight on this ongoing conflict. Starting in 2011 with protests against Bashar al-Assad and his government, the civil war in Syria has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and resulted in 90% of people currently living below the poverty line. Syrians represent the biggest group of refugees worldwide. Several factors can force people to flee, including political oppression, persecution, and of course, war. As of mid-2022, 103 million people globally were forcibly displaced, and 32.5 million people had the status of refugees. The push factors compel people to take extraordinary risks. The most dangerous escape routes run through the Mediterranean Sea, connecting Libya and Tunisia to Italy. Despite the risks, nearly 28,000 people will reach the EU via the Mediterranean route in the first quarter of 2023, a figure 3 times higher than the recorded in Q1 of 2022. It has also been the deadliest start to a year in this area since the opening quarter of 2017. On April 15th, Germany shut down the last 3 nuclear power plants in the country, ending a series of closures that has been in the works for over 20 years. After initially looking to stretch out the program in 2010, the government resumed the phase-out in 2011 following the Fukushima nuclear disaster. The final reactors were meant to shut down in 2022, but this was delayed as the Russia-Ukraine war caused Germany to find alternatives to Russian fossil fuels. Previously, Russian gas accounted for 65% of German natural gas imports. Germany rapidly reduced the share to zero, clearing the way for the final closures. Even without a reliance on Russian gas, Germany's storage facilities are currently close to 65%, well ahead of the levels this time last year. Before the closures, nuclear energy provided around 7% of Germany's electricity, and coal will be used to cover some of that gap. German energy production is already among the most carbon-intensive in Europe, so replacing existing nuclear facilities with coal, one of the deadliest and most damaging ways to generate electricity, has been met with mixed public reaction. With such a long phase-out program, however, Germany has had time to ensure renewables supply a large portion of the country's energy needs. Despite Germany's phase-out, nuclear isn't about to disappear from the global energy mix anytime soon. While safety issues concerning nuclear energy were the main driver of its phase-out in Germany, nuclear energy still plays a huge role in other countries around the world. In fact, across the globe there are far more nuclear reactors in planning and production than there are being shut down. China, Russia, and India in particular are busy building new plants to meet their energy needs. That's it for April. To find out more about these topics and countless more, head over to Statista.com and join us next time for another round of Month in Data.